What's going on, guys? Episode number 32. This is Costi and Eric. The show is called Tales from the Ticket. This is not, for those that are new, this is not a daily pick show. If you want to know every single selection on the day, all you have to do is go to the morning show from today. I think on the morning show today we had Chris, we had Jay, we had Bitler, and I think we had Brad. If I made that up, maybe I'm missing one of them. But this is about strategy. This is about what syndicate betting is and how it's quite different than the handicapping style. So it's an interactive show. Anything you have questions regarding sports betting, strategies, how to navigate, anything, you could feel free to ask in the comments. We will put your actual questions up on the screen and we will answer them. So with all that being said, Eric, what's up?
Trying to bet this hockey while I'm talking to you. What's happening?
Well, it's interesting because a lot of people, you have this hockey syndicate that has been phenomenal, plays only underdogs. It's the same group that brought you the underdogs in baseball. And uniquely, you get a little bit of pushback. You get a little bit of pushback. People going, I don't want to bet hockey. That's not the sport that I watch, and blah, 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 blah. What do you say to that?
So, like, I was just on the phone with T in Philadelphia. He's probably watching this right now. So, like, on the Sharp basketball channel, like I was explaining to him, if you are on two channels this week, you're up $12,350. You're 4-0 this week, and we're 4-0 this week on the Sharp, right? Not even talking about the Dime Club, just the Sharp. And you're up 7.5 units, $7,500. You won, I think, 2,000, then 1,500, then 3,000. And he said to me, you know, I tied it up with my Iona and I tied it up with Milwaukee. It's so painful because he's a smart guy and all the guys watching these are, and he said, you know, he's going back to the dopamine and the rush and the excitement. And I'm like, man, you couldn't fucking pay me to watch a game. Fucking pay me to check a score. You couldn't fucking pay me to turn on ESPN with a million. I don't want to use the word despise sports. I just don't care. And I think the problem is what I notice is that there's this overwhelming breakdown of successful clients versus non-successful clients. And it's not about money.
There's your boy.
My man, we just hung up. Look, I literally just hung up with him, told him to hit the live while we're like we were just talking. And, you know, he said to me, man, he said, I love the live betting. And we're not going to make the show about talking about him, but I love the live betting. You know, it gives me excitement. It's like, and he said, it's a vice. And that hit me, right? It's a vice. And so the thing is for him, as well as everybody else, this should not be a vice. This should be a boring ass business. It's like I was talking to a quant yesterday in Wall Street, and he used to work on Wall Street, and he was looking at the ROI in NHL, which is about 11% over the course of the season. And he says, 11%, that's amazing. And he was so excited about 11%. And the average gambler, if you say 11%, they want 3,000% every day of the week. So it's interesting because, and then I'll get off the soapbox.
Well, no, I actually have a question. I'm going to post. I got to post it. So just keep talking. But it's one of our clients that had, and I'll post it on the screen, which ties into what you're talking about with the expectations of a syndicate and what the expectations are. Because people say winning percentages, but it doesn't correlate to actual returns. And I'm going to cue it up. I don't know if he's going to be on the show live today, but he literally asked me before the show started to talk about this, which ties into what you're discussing.
Well, so go ahead.
I'm going to say, because my screen's uploading here. So here, hold on. I'm going to post it right on the screen.
So I got to go to NHL.
So here's the question.
Go ahead.
On the live stream today, can you please talk about what you think as a successful handicapper is or syndicate? As a client to me, as long as you're doing better than the stock market, 10% return on investment.
Oh, I mean, so the problem with most, well, let me answer.
And then the second part of that, before you finish, the second part of that is I think a lot of people don't know what a good handicapper is and or syndicate. Everyone just says they should be win around 54 to 58%, but of their games, but how does that translate into return of capital?
So let me answer let me say what I was going to say, then we'll get it back to the question. So there's a line in the sand between successful. So let's talk about the gentleman that just posted that T in Philly, right? He is a perfect example of why it doesn't matter how much money you have, you can still be a loser. And he's not a loser. He asked me to be his mentor and to train him how to trade sports.
Mm-hmm.
And he used he's been a client for about a week and a half. And we used, I listened to what people say and I used their verbiage against them to make them my argument. Right. It's like they don't plead the fifth. They tell you how they're committing the crime and they use it against them. And I said to him today, literally 10 minutes while I was driving to the back here, as long as you speak with emotional language, you lost. When you use things
Elaborate on that.
Any adjective which is indicative of an emotion. I really like this. I feel good about this. I love that team. Like, feel, love. I hate this team. This team sucks. Anything with emotion. And he's self-aware. So half the battle is not being self-aware. Where he said, yeah, it's a vice. I get excited when I'm live betting because I feel that I can beat it. Okay. So when we're talking about math, there's no discussion of feelings. 2 + 2 = 4, and it always will. E = mc squared. It always will. H2O is the components of water, oxygen, all these things. When you're in math class and you're taking algebra and there's no place for emotion. Mathematicians don't rule on emotion. So if you have, and I explained to him the devil angel. So you have the angel on this shoulder. All the angel cares about is math. And you have the devil on this shoulder. All the devil cares about is emotions. So the battle is you're listening to the math, and then at some point you succumb to the emotions. Now, my personal opinion as a 52-year-old man is most successful gamblers have 2 attributes. They're not gamblers, they're traders. So the first attribute is they're not a gambler. It would be an insult to call David Miller a gambler. It would be an insult to call Billy Walters a gambler. It would be an insult to call Micah Smith a gambler. It would be an insult to call Al McMorty a gambler. It would be an insult to call Troy G a gambler. All these guys make a living wagering on sporting events instead of stocks. And all of them are using the math on this shoulder, the angel, and they're forgetting about the emotion. Micah, you couldn't pay him to watch a game. Troy, you couldn't pay him to watch a game. The NHL, MLB syndicate, you couldn't pay him to watch a game. Dave, you couldn't pay him to watch a pregame wager. The only reason he would watch a game is to live wager with his group, but that's unsellable information, and it's not relevant to what we provide and offer to our clients. Billy Walters, You go watch the 60 Minutes interview. You couldn't pay him to watch a game. You can pay him to watch the Don Best screens. I'll get my laptop when you start talking and bring it over here to show these guys and educate them. But the reality is that is this trading now that we have terminology like predictive markets and you have the Kalshis and the poly markets, or is this gambling? So to get in before I answer this person's questions, if you
put it back up on the screen.
If you identify pronouns, if you identify not as a they, not as a them, not as a he, not as a she, if you identify as a gambler, you can't win money. You're already lost. If you self-identify as a trader of any market, because a successful trader will carry over from the crypto markets, from the stock markets, from the commodity markets, from the option markets to the sports markets. A gambler who just loves sports and knows the name of every player of every team can't apply the same. If Dave wanted to, he could trade the stock market and be just as talented. If Michael wanted to, he could trade the stock market and be just as talented because they have analytical ways of doing things based upon math. Al McMorty, same thing. Troy, same thing. So now back to the question. I just wanted to.
Well, and it's funny. It's funny you bring up predictive markets because I feel like that's the next wave. It's something that we've already dipped our feet into over the years, but now it's becoming more relevant, right? So Micah, I've talked to him before. He's now finding ways how to attack the predictive markets based on the volume model and where there is a lot of volume and people will take a bad bet. Those that don't know predictive markets, you're not betting against the house, you're betting against another player. Somebody actually has to pick up your wager. So if I like a certain team and I bet them at -3, somebody else has to take the other +3. That's the way it works. So you're putting up lines and you're negotiating based on price. Well, I want to ask you this because it's funny you bring up the emotion, not emotion.
I'm listening.
The emotion, not emotion. So do you think any stock trader is emotionally attached to the stock going up and down?
Well, let me ask you real quick because we were mentioning Troy earlier. Troy, nobody can see you. I guarantee you, nobody can see you except me. Do you watch any of your wagers?
No, none of them.
Ever?
Never.
Ever?
No. The only time we've ever done anything, and my son has done it, is the in-game betting for the second half.
Now, in terms of you've been betting professionally for as long as I know you, call it, I mentioned, I think 1999, we'll call it 25 years, right?
Yeah.
And you're telling me you don't sit home on the weekends and look at TVs all day long?
That's a fucking waste of time. People that do that are just jerking off. Unless you're one of those fans, you're wearing the jersey and you're, acting like you're playing, then okay. But no, if you're betting and you're doing this for a living, no, it's a waste of time.
I got your game. I'll call you after the show. Thank you.
Yeah.
Bye.
So, the perspective.
I mean, it literally is calling me from Vegas live on FaceTime. I can't even make it.
No, I mean, at the end of the day, we
sent
know
me a
it.
game. He wanted to make sure I got the game. Go ahead.
And I feel like that's what we've always been up against because a lot of the PickDawgz community are gamblers. They just are. So that's why we always say there's a product for everyone on this channel, and you can make money with every single personality, and you can make money with us, but we're the opposite of giving write-ups, giving you a play, and not giving you money management. It's the reverse. We know when to bet the game, timing. I mean, even Al, who sells his plays on the site, has an all access where he releases games at 5, 6 o'clock in the morning. So you're getting that early line. You check those games 2 hours later, the line is moved 3 to 4 points. Now, you still have to win more than you lose. But I think what people fail to understand, and no matter how many times we talk about longevity, like it's funny, I brought this up. So Al One so far, you can't see that.
You can't see that?
Nah, it's too small.
Really?
You can't see it. No, it's
That,
too small.
okay, well, we'll talk about when I answer your question. Go ahead.
I looked it up from January 1st, literally up to Monday of this week, Eric. He's up 203 units. All the crazy, we took a hit, we took a loss, we took a drawdown. People like math, like you said, math.
Salt shaker.
203 units. So for those that started January, which a lot of people did, started for the entire year, you're up 203 units, but you're so short-sighted to think, oh, well, he had a losing couple weeks, he'll never win again. Nobody cares about the bigger picture. Like in the stock market, it's all bigger picture unless you're doing, options and shorts and stuff where you're limiting yourself to a short period of time. Most of the things are long-term, but
so let's get to this question. Let's dissect this guy's question. So I pulled up.
I'll put it back up.
Okay. So first of all, let's talk about what break even is before we get to successful. I'm looking at him. And I love this. This is what I love about AI, right? What is break even? Break even is exactly 52.38% at minus 110 odds. That means for every $110 you risk, you win 100. Profit plus your $10 back, your $110 back if you win. That's why when you go to a sports book, they give you $210 back after the win. The sports book is taking a built-in commission, which is the vigor / juice. So over many bets, they can eat profit even if wins and losses are close to 50%. To calculate the break even in percentage, it's break even percentage divided by risk plus risk per amount plus profit. So for 110, it means you must win 52.38% of the times to break even, because both sides of a typical spread total are minus 110. The book has 100% plus a little extra VIG built in. The two sides together add up to 104.76% total implied probability. To overcome the long-term implied probability, you need to win 52.38% of your bets, because 52.38 times 2 equals 104.76. Now, what happens is if you reduce the VIG from 110 down to 105, it goes from 52.38% down to 51%. If you're laying, so now let's talk about buying half points. If you lay 15%, you went from 52.38% up to break even is now 53.49%. If you're laying 20 cents, you're at 54.55%. Now I understand that because we're not putting this up on the screen, it becomes just numbers and it becomes, you fall asleep. The moral of the story is nobody bets the same amount on every game. This is based upon flat betting the same amount on every game. So when you're talking about a syndicate, ain't no syndicate betting the same amount on every game. Pardon my bad grammar with the word ain't. If you watch the Billy Walters 60 Minutes interview, how do you decide whether to bet 10 grand on one game or 100 grand on another game? The bigger the difference between what my line is and what the line posted is the bigger the difference of the bet. So the first thing is that the dirty little secret, we talk about it every show, is if you want to make money and have a successful handicapper, then you're going to shoot for a guy that's going to basically win 55 to 56% of the time over 1,000 games minimum. So we'll take Al McMorty as a perfect example. Last year, you bet every one of his games, 1,000 games. You make $120,000 if you bet $1,000 on every game. His actual percentage falls in the range of 54 to 58%. He was 57%. 57% flat betting 1,000 games, he basically made $120,000. If you took the same games, you made $507,000, because now what we're doing is we're getting into different math. Remember, we talked about the double, the angel, and the double, right? The angel is math. Math is Kelly criterion. Are you going full Kelly, quarter Kelly, half Kelly? That's a conversation we can explore as well. So it goes back to, how can you never win money? Back to my man T, right? You can answer the question, Mikhail. What is the easiest way to never make money in this business long term? I didn't say today. I didn't say next week.
Parlays.
You cannot win.
How many people do you, I mean, I talk to a good amount of people on an everyday basis.
All up. We're from Baltimore. The famous show, The Wire, was filmed here. Parlays are crack, right? We had a crack app.
I'm telling you,
crack.
Eric.
That's all it is crack.
Everybody calls me and they do these 3-teamers, and they make these accusations that they are profitable betting 3-teamers, because here's my favorite one. I take a minus 400, I take a minus 400, I take a minus 300, I put them in a parlay. And I've been making, but nobody actually has, and I think it's the psychologically, you're only thinking about your last big hit. You're not making money or talking about your losses, just like when you hit a hand pay at a slot machine. I've said this time and time again. Slot machines are electronic crack. They just are. You want to argue with me about it, you're going to lose, because they give you that huge payout number at the top of the screen that every single spin, every single press has the probability of you hitting a $80,000, $100,000, $200,000 jackpot. It's the same thing with a 10-leg parlay. When you put that in for $1 and it calculates that you're going to make a 6-figure return, you're fucking going out of your hands are sweating. You're so, because you have a shot before the game started. And because social media, and I say this almost every week, social media glorifies parlays. They glorify these huge 6-figure returns, which in turn is getting the gambler, not trader, emotionally and physically hooked on betting that parlay, and the straight bets become a non-factor. Because what happens is us going to a client and saying, all right, we have 2 games today. You're going to play 1.5%, and you're going to play 1.5% of your bankroll. And you're going to make back 1.5% and 1.5%. You're going to make a total of 3% back. When you're a parlay bettor, that is boring, and it doesn't even trigger the pleasure sensors. It just doesn't even trigger.
So this goes back to T. I mean,
so you got to stop. You got to have a pattern interrupt early in the game.
It's a vice. And remember, this is what I was going to say earlier, is like, so at 52 versus 32, for instance, you got to have hobbies, man, that have nothing to do with this. Like, nobody sits around and watches the stocks go up and down all day. Nobody watches crypto go up and down all day. Like, you don't need to say, I have a feeling that a lot of these guys, they're literally losing their life, because meaning they're waiting all day for 7 o'clock Eastern Standard Time to come, or all day for 4 o'clock Pacific Standard Time to come. And they're just moseying through life waiting for games between 7 o'clock and 10 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. And it's like, dude, get a fucking hobby. Do something. Do some shit. Like, I have more hobbies than I'm just like Mr. It's why I don't look at games. It's why when people text me on Saturday and Sunday and go, did you see that? I go, no. I mean, you know me. I cycle. I lift weights. I play bass. I learn different languages. I mean, I'm a nut. I'm a nut. I just constantly have to be learning something. Like, dude, learn some shit. Like, go do something. And like, so this desire, like, I'll give you an example. I'm betting the 5 games right now. in NHL. And one of the prices, so now I'm all about price, not about my opinion. Now I wait. I wait for the Don Best screens. I wait later. The game is until 7:00 tonight. What am I in a rush for? What do I have to prove something? If the line moves in a manner that I don't like, I only bet underdogs in hockey, a favorite, which is what happened today. That favorite could still win, but it's not my system because I can't lay juice. So I have to forego that scenario. You know what I'm saying? So it's like the concept of worrying about betting at 12 noon Eastern Standard Time or 1:00 for games is another tell of usually a not successful bettor, because I get too many times I get phone calls in the morning. I get too many times that I'm on the like I get text at 9-10 in the morning. What are we looking at tonight? It's like, dude, you just woke up like at 7-8 in the morning and you're worrying about a game starting at 7:00. And then it's not about making money at that point. It's about your whole life is wrapped around waiting for 7:00, if that makes sense, Costi.
Yes, and look, I understand that the majority of the people that are watching this video are fans of the game. They're fans of sports betting. They're fans of their teams. They're fans of everything that has to do with the watching, observing, rooting. I get it. I totally get it. And I'm not in a position, so I never take the position of don't do that, because I already know as a grown adult, changing somebody's habits when it comes to this is extremely difficult. But the solution is have somebody that you're consulting with, like myself or Eric, that don't do those things for you.
The league,
You're not going to change somebody's behavior. You're not going to change somebody's behavior, but you could give them a formula that the games that they are betting and they are trading are the right selections, because there's no emotion when the games are being selected. You're not going to change somebody's behavior. I already, for 15 years now. You've been in it a lot longer, but with social media, with YouTube, there's more fandom now than it used to be. Before, it was you couldn't catch every game. 20 years ago, you couldn't watch every single college basketball, NHL. Now there's packages where you can watch all those games. I feel like there's more fans now of gambling versus before they were just rooting in their own team. They were watching the Baltimore Ravens locally. They were watching the Steelers if they're in Pittsburgh. They didn't have the ability to watch the Penguins in LA, right? So I think now there's more fandom, but if you're going to be a fan, have somebody in your corner that is non-emotional like you, that is capable of putting in the selections with true strategy implemented with the right units. Yeah, like we talked about with basketball. We're 4-0 in the week. I'm not sitting here pounding my chest going, I'm 4-0, buy my stuff. No, it's just a system. It's long-term, it's seasonal. Like, for example, Eric, starting very, very soon, I have a bowl group that I use every single year for March Madness. They specialize in neutral court games or fields. So there's a lot that goes into it. During the season, home and away, strategically, it's one-dimensional. But when you add an element where it's a bowl game, where geographically it's placed, how the fans travel, is it close to the location of that college, and is the line correct? A lot of times these neutral court games or neutral court fields, the line makers never are as accurate as they are when it's a home and away game, right? So these guys that I've dealt with for a decade now only specialize in these two dynamics, which is the bowl games and March Madness. And you want to throw in another wrench that if you're betting bowl games without information this year, you might as well just burn your money. Do you know how many of these players are sitting out? You don't even know who's playing in bowl games. Players are transferring. Hold on, let me finish. Players are transferring. Players are sitting out because they don't want to hurt their stock for the NFL draft.
Keep talking, I'm listening.
So you are dealing with a 2 to 3 year sample size of where this NIL is taking us. And it's taking us to where players don't want to hurt their brand. So if you're betting bowl games without a strategic system of somebody that is literally have their hand on the pulse every single day, you are burning your money. And none of these selections that this group is going to give me have any emotional attachment. It's all math, like you said. So it's a lot goes into this. Most people just think, oh, I could go on my phone. I can look at the board today,
But
and I'm going to bet the Clippers or Rockets. Like, come on.
The part that everyone's missing, like when I talked to T earlier, is look, you know, like T's made a nice investment to get access to our games. A portion of them, not all of them, right? And it was funny because I had like a losing day last Tuesday. And he texted me, he's like, you know, I haven't won any money back. And now I'm 4-0, and he hasn't made any money off the 4-0 because he decided not to use the games. In the
you parlayed them.
Add this game, add that game, blah, blah, blah.
Right.
And then so what happens is it still goes back to this. This is a screen that is a computer feed like a stock trading screen. All these games in blue are actual soccer games that are at halftime right now that major betting syndicates are hitting and pounding. And you can literally hear it if I turn the volume up because for some reason, I guess it's 5 hours, 6 hours ahead in Europe. So what winds up happening is that you get in this situation where you hear it halftime. All this blue is halftime.
Yeah.
You hear it?
Yeah.
So if you're a trader, you're actually you could do this 365 days a year. I mean, 24 hours a day globally, right? If you're hyper focused on what shape the ball is, you miss opportunities because you're worried about what shape the ball is. Also, you're chasing the holy grail of betting one game a day or the one big game for a large amount of money. And it's like, I feel like it's sad that we have to repeat the same core shit that our long-term listeners hear each week, but there's new people that are listening, which is like, if you're betting more than 1% without a strategy to 10% without a strategy, and you don't understand quarter Kelly, half Kelly, 3/4 Kelly, you're fucking dead. You're dead. Literally, like you said, back to Al being up 203 units, guys. I'm not going to name the guy out of disrespect in Virginia Beach, other than say we'll call him Mr. Virginia Beach. My bankroll got blown out. The guy killed me. Like, dude, shut the fuck up. You made 500 motherfucking units last year. Shut the fuck up with your bullshit. Enough already. Everybody finds a way not to win as much when you win. But it's funny. When you're 0-4 instead of 4-0, nobody calls you and says, oh, I didn't lose. So you'll get the T that's 4-0, didn't make any money off it. And then if I go 0-4, I lost. I'm not talking about him particularly. He's going to be a long-term profitable client. He knows that he's doing the wrong thing, so we're going to turn him around because he's willing to listen. But it's like the world that I live in where it's just, there's an absence of emotion because you're not a fan. It's like, how many times do you have to repeat yourself? And I guess you have to keep doing it because there's new people that are watching every day. But there's a fantasy out there. Now, hear what I'm going to say, Kasi. There is a fantasy out there that it's hard to win. That's a fantasy. It couldn't be any easier to win. But are you going to do the work that makes it boring not exciting, not a vice, not going to bed in a good mood, not going to bed in a bad mood, not getting those quick, large amounts of money because you hit the parlay. I said it was easy to win. I didn't say it was easy to win your way. And so this is like going into 2026. I always tell people make New Year's resolutions, gym memberships increase, from January 1st to January 31st. And then by March 1st, everybody's eating popcorn again, eating pizza, carbing it up. 1 month, everybody's doing the right thing. And then everybody's doing the wrong thing. And like I said, I get texts all day long. On my NHL channel, I put out I feel bad for the clients. I do have empathy for the clients. Like I put out on my hockey channel last week, we do the report, and I sent the report out 9-6 plus 69.50. So we had 15 games last week, 9-6 plus 69.50. And I'm not going to name her. She knows who she is. And she got that. And she said, I guess I don't know how to bet because I lost last week. I guess gambling is not for me. I started betting big when I was losing, and then I bet a lot less when I was winning. It seems like I'm always playing catch up. My response was, you just have to be a robot. Bet every game the same and follow the money management system and not pick and choose and play every game sent. Money management is 99.99% of this game. You can't, quote, bet doesn't mean anything. That there's no math.
Can you clarify? So, because we go back and forth, I just don't want this to get lost. Clarify the only time you could bet the same amount on every game, flat betting,
when you're underdog, when you're playing underdogs.
So it's only baseball and only hockey. You can do it with soccer. We don't do it with our soccer group on an alert basis. But just to clarify, if you're flat betting and you're not changing your denomination, and you're flat betting, meaning you're betting the same amount on every game, it only works with syndicates is if you're betting baseball underdogs or NHL underdogs. So just wanted to clarify that.
And that's a great clarification point. So this person is, the way dog betting works is there's an expectation that you're going to win 40 to 45% of the time over the season. So you're going to have a losing record, like I did in baseball, and made money, plenty of money. And then you're going to have a losing record in hockey, and you're going to make money. So what happens is, because things are streaky, there was one day that we went, let's say, 0-4 in hockey. Well, then she stops betting and then turns around and go 5-1 in hockey and make plus 200 on every game. So this goes back to, why is someone reducing their wagers or skipping wagers? That goes back to money management. Back to that question that the gentleman asked. It's less about the handy, because you can throw that question back up. It's less about, if you really throw the first and second question up.
This is the second one.
So the reality is, the percentage of the handicappers don't matter. What matters is your money management system. So he was asking a question about something external, which had, how should I pick a good handicapper? Well, you could have the best handicapper in the world who's 57%. We already know Billy Walters' best season was 60.3%, making hundreds of millions of dollars. And average season was 56 to 57%, kind of Al McMorty style betting. So we'll just use Al's example. 57%, you kill it. Well, can you kill it if you don't have the proper money management? Can you kill it if you can't handle losing 43% of your games and you don't get to pick the order of the 43% of the games that you lose? You don't get to pick. I have a bot, Micah and I, we have like a bot, and I mean, the volume that this thing pulls off is insane. And I will literally watch it go 0-10, 10-0, 0-10, 10-0, 0-10, 10-0, 15-1, 1-19. And if you're playing the proper parameters on this firework mechanism of wagering, you can handle this roller coaster ride. We call this variance. Now, if I go to Grok, which has been my AI of choice, and I say, what is the definition of variance? And variance in sports betting and gambling in general is a measure of how much your actual results fluctuate around your expected results due to luck in the short term. In simple terms, variance is expected value. It tells your average profit per bet in the long run. Variance tells you how wildly your bankroll will swing up and down before you get to that long run average. So you take someone like Al, 57% long run, doesn't mean he can't hit 20% for 3 weeks in a row. I'm just using that as an example, right? And then it's key points about variance in sports betting. High variance, big swings where you can have huge winning streaks and brutal losing streaks, even if you're betting with an edge. Fucking AI could figure that out. Even if you have the best program in the world, even if you have the best quants in the world, even if you have the best edge in the world, guess what? You're not out on the field playing. Anything can happen in any game short term. Your edge will play out long term, but it can't. So lower variance is smoother, predictable results that come closer to your win rate. So how do you achieve low variance? You can only achieve low variance in two sports, ironically.
Baseball
and NHL. So like, here's a perfect example. 1 week I did a YouTube video thinking I was going to hit the side of a wall in the NHL. Didn't matter. Still low variance based upon risk versus return. But it goes back to the same old scenario. 99% of all gamblers are betting too high a percentage of their bankroll. And I go back to this, the issue of managing money. The financial world has it correct. The reason why there's a mutual fund industry, the reason why there's 401ks, the reason why there's SEP retirement plans is because people can't have enough discipline to do it correctly. So when you're investing in that 401k fund, or you're investing in that SEP retirement fund, or you're investing in Magellan, or you're investing in Vanguard, right? Or you're investing in your money manager, or you're investing in a hedge fund that locks your money up for a year and has a minimum required amount of money, $1 million minimum to buy into this fund. You don't get to just analyze each trade every day. You get that quarterly report, you get that annual report, you get that biannual report, and you just see where you're at. Nobody's picking apart each trade. But when you're buying information, i.e. T, who's 4-0 this week, didn't use any of the games correctly, you're basically giving the trades to the player, expecting the player to be the manager. And this is the leak. It's very hard to get people to follow the advice, because in the end of the day, you're giving them the advice. You can't make them actually click the button.
Well, so it's the takeaway from what you just said is the product that we offer, Eric and myself, it's for high net worth individuals, because you have to be able to afford to work with us and have the bankroll to bet. So I totally understand that what we offer and what we say and how deep of a dive we do in the product and the product that we offer is not for everyone. There's a product on this site. If you're just somebody that is like, that's saying to themselves right now, man, I really want to work with Eric and Costi. I just don't have the bankroll.
We have lower products, but
We have,
again,
well, what I'm saying is you could find a product if you're just somebody that has you're watching this and you're going, these guys are fucking out there. These guys, I don't know what they're talking about. I don't know what they're ranting about. I don't know why they're talking about these things. I just want to, no problem. This is not for you. You could easily go to the PickDawgz site, click on premium picks, choose a handicapper of your choosing, and you could buy their daily plays for dollars. But if you're somebody that resonates with everything that we say and a light bulb, a light switch goes off, and you go, man, everything they're saying is what I went through. I don't want to repeat that cycle again. How do I stop making these stupid mistakes? I'm not calling you stupid as the person watching.
The mistakes come from the desire to be right, not to win money. The mistakes come from the person getting personal gratification out of him correctly picking. It's like when I do these videos on YouTube, I give out free picks, right? I mean, you can't ask for some of the most unintelligent human beings must just come to YouTube to comment on my videos, right? Like, so the video I did for December 12th was, I got 4 comments. I gave out the Spurs plus 4.5 for free. Didn't even bet it myself. They won 132 to 119, I think. Didn't even bet it myself. Spurs plus 4.5. I've heard it all. Unsubbed, right? Because it's against his opinion. LOL. Sports betting is so nonsensical and illogical at times. And then I had 2 positive comments. You got a guy upset and wants to unsub from watching me because he doesn't like the fact that he likes the Lakers. It's confirmation bias of his own opinion. It has nothing to do with a desire to make money. 0 to do with a desire to make money. I get hate when I win. I get hate when I lose. I just get hate because
here's one. Tread, you're not listening to anything that we're talking about. He's going to have 20 points tonight.
Who's he play for? Seriously,
it's the wrong show for that. This is an interactive educational show that we do once a week.
I'm asking you seriously, who's he play for? I don't even know who he is.
He plays in the NBA. He is a
guard.
Team?
For what team?
Honestly, I don't. He used to be. I think he got traded.
So here's the point. Let's use that comment as a learning tool. I'm sitting here involved with the largest betting syndicates in the world. You can't even get me to name 5 players.
No, he's still in the Celtics.
It's not even relative. Like it literally has nothing to do with this screen of, look at it. All I'm looking at is numbers and lines. I need to know players. Why do I need to know players? Line X should be -3. Line X is -6. We take the dog. Line X, game X should be -7. Game X is -2. We take the favorite. It's like literally that simple.
Well, it's so I've been doing that on my free video that I do every single day. It's called STP, Sharp Trading Plays. I find a line mistake and I tell the viewers what our outlaw line was and what the current line is, and simply that's the reason behind it. And I also give a background of why we made the line that line, because this is just something I'm doing as an education every single day. It doesn't matter if it wins 5-6 days in a row. People are not watching it to join. People are just watching it for confirmation of their own opinion.
Now, don't get me wrong on the lines. Like on my one chat, like I had a client text me. He goes, I had New Mexico as a play last night on one of the channels, right? And I think I put out New Mexico at, I think it was plus 9.5. Let me look. +9. And he texted me, should I take it at +8.5? They won the game outright. So again, we as syndicate brokers have a level of which to mess with each individual game, depending upon what the parameters we're getting from our groups. And the problem is that people get caught up in buying points. People get caught up in having an opinion. People get caught up in caring about short-term variance, whether it's smooth or high. And remember, you can have the most aggressive strategy, which in the end, the most aggressive strategy is the one that has the most variance, because it allows you to play out the edge quicker if you can strap into the roller coaster ride. So you can make 500 units with this, right? The only way you can surrender is to bet so small that it doesn't bother you. You can make 100 and 150 units in baseball over 9 months, but if you take that 150 units over 9 months and you divide it by monthly, it's not a lot of variance. And NHL, it's not a lot of variance, even though there might be variance that week relative to spread bets. The variance is very small. Therefore, because the variance is small, the profits can't be as great as football and basketball, because the roller coaster ride doesn't have bigger valleys and bigger. Do you understand what I'm saying, Costi?
Yeah.
Like basically, I'm a cyclist, and basically I can ride every year from Baltimore to Delaware, 110 miles for autism, and there's no variance. It's flat and it's boring and it's painful, and I'm going to be in zone 2 the entire time. But I'm not going to really I'm not going to make my health better, right? But if I do a short ride where I leave my house when we get off the air, and I live in an area which is like this, and I do a 20-mile ride, but it's like this, up, down, I'm going to actually get more out of that up, down than that flat ride for 7 hours. And it's the same thing with sports betting, which is most people are scared of the swings where professional bettors welcome the swings. They're hugging the swings. The bigger the variance, the bigger the edge, the bigger the profit. You just got to bet small enough that you don't care. And then you're not like Mr. Virginia Beach. Oh, I blew my bankroll out. Blah, 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 vomit. Really, like, so irritating, you know. Or like, I'm not going to name the person, he's probably watching, the whole I'm not doing this program again in January, a particular program that we offer, because it's too much volume. Again, people want to run away from the fact that there's no pain, there's no gain at the same level. You can make a gain at a lower level, but the swings aren't going to be as vicious. That's why I always tell people, if somebody calls me with $100,000 and they're the most conservative person in the world, and they just want a nice return, which is going to outperform, back to your buddy, the S&P 500, which this year is 17% in a year, which is like nothing. It's like 2% a month. It's 0.25% a week. Bet baseball or bet hockey. Don't bet anything else. Just bet baseball or bet hockey. Make 25% on your money blindly in 9 months. Last year, you make 27.6% in baseball. Put $100,000 in your account on March 31st, on October 31st, Halloween, your 100 is 127,000. You had a drawdown of 11%. Your 100 went to 89 at All-Star break, and from 89 up to 127. Brainless. But what you're not going to do is take 100 and turn it into 500. And I think that's one of the things, just having these shows every week, I haven't talked about, which is if you're trying to make as much money as you possibly can, you need to be in the most aggressive strategies. Just like if you're 20 years old and you're setting up your first stock brokerage account, any money manager is going to tell you go into the most aggressive fund available. So every time you get your statement, you're like whoa or whoa. It's like whoa or whoa. You know what I mean? But if you just want smooth, you're 65, you're about to retire, that's the NHL, That's the baseball that's consistent. Now I have high net worth individuals that hammer baseball at a higher risk rate, hammer the NHL at a higher risk rate to multiply the return. So if it's 27% at 1% Kelly, and they're going 4% at 1% Kelly, the variance still isn't that great, but they're quad Xing their return. No, $5. No, that's too much. $10 is too much on a $500 bankroll. 1%. 1%.
And that's, let me be clear about that. For our stuff, whatever you want to do when you're purchasing daily stuff from handicappers where there's not clear money management in place, bet whatever you want. But with syndicate betting, baseball and hockey, we have 1% bets, but we wouldn't have you bet with a $500 bankroll. You wouldn't qualify.
You're not even a client of ours.
Yeah. So, but traditionally, if you only have 500, that's the way you could overcome the variance, because it's inevitable.
But then it goes back to, it's better to just save up and have more money. Like I had a client, it's the same thing. He said, I go back, your time is worth more than that. Who wants to bet $5 a game? Right. And the reality is most of these people that keep the sports books in business are those 500 depositors, because they just deposit the 500, lose, deposit the 500, lose, deposit the 500, lose, deposit the 500, lose. Like I said, it's very interesting position to be in, to know that you basically, and this is like, sounds crazy, right? Forget the Instagram messenger guys with the Ferraris. It's interesting to have already know that you cracked the code, that it's the easiest possible thing to win. You just have to get the client to change his behavior.
Yeah. In theory,
it's crazy.
I laugh because we try so hard to, and that is our, listen, I'll spend hours on the phone with a client, even though he's not going to become a client, explaining to him to change his habits. And at the end of the day, their biggest enemy is the 3-letter word. EGO.
Yeah.
Ego. I know. I played football. I know the coaches. I know the schemes. I've known it my whole life. No, you don't. Because it doesn't matter. Because the guys that are making the most amount of money in football don't play or have ever played football in their life, and they don't watch the games. They're all quants and numbers guys. And there's a lot of them out there that are very, very sharp, and they've never played sports in their whole life. So just understand that. Just because you're an athlete, I've actually said this before.
They're the worst.
My biggest clients that I've had that have been the biggest losing bettors before they contacted me were ex-pro athletes. Where their ego and their opinion, because they know the players personally, they know the coaches personally, they've played in the league, that psychological edge actually costs them even more money. So I'll leave it on that, man. Great show. Another hour of power with Eric and Costi. We will be back here next Thursday at 1:00. Tune in.
Always, before we end it, because we all know I'm not the fan, you're the fan. We laying the 2.5 with the Ravens.
This fucking Ravens team, man. Can't fucking stand them this year. Really irritates me even talking about him at this point. Because Jeremy Kahn is our local. He's on this channel, and he is a local radio show host. And he did an interview with Ray Lewis last week. He does, prior to the Steelers week, he does a lot of interviews for Steelers Ravens. And he interviewed Ray, and Ray started preaching and started getting loud, and it was like he was all pumped up. I want that style of play back. We missed that here in Baltimore. The Bullies. If you haven't watched the documentary on 30 for 30, The Bullies of Baltimore is fantastic. We're just broken right now. I hope we could figure out a way, but I think it's going to be a one and done anyway in the playoffs. I'm kind of just sick and tired of this team with the expectations. I'm in the same boat as your son. So your son is done. I'm done. I'm still a fan. I'll still watch them.
You think you'll physically go to another game after that? You attended last week's game, right?
Now, somebody just asked me to go to the Patriots game, got flexed to Sunday Night Football. Nah, pass.
I'm flexing the living room.
Flex in the living room. All right, guys, we will be back here next week. Tales from the Ticket. It will be episode number 33. 33 weeks.
Man,
so
nice.
We're shutting down 2025. Come back here. We'll have a lot more stuff to talk about, as we always have a new topic every single week. We appreciate each and every one of you. We'll be back here next week. Check out all the other shows on the PickDawgz channel for free pick predictions. And if you want to contact either Eric or myself, in the description of this video, you will see a phone number. Just text or call it, and one of us will get back to you within 24 hours. Everybody have a wonderful winning day.